Playmakers, how's it going? This is Coach Wood, and we are ready for another amazing episode of content for you guys. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the channel. Thank you for stopping by. There's a million places you can be, but you're rocking with me, so I truly appreciate that. If you are one of our community members, you guys have always come around. Thank you for holding me down. Thank you for stopping by the channel again. We've got some great content for you guys, especially you young football players and you families of football players that are at the high school or junior college level. This one's going to be big for you guys. Also, if you are joining us for the very first time, please do not hesitate to hit that subscribe button if you like the content that you are consuming. This is where we get down. Every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, you guys, we're serving in a big way for the football families out there, the coaches, the players, the fans. This is where we come and we love to hash out all of the key topics that pertain to you guys. So thank you once again for stopping by. Also, we've got some great resources down for you in the description box. So if you are a football player or a family of a football player, a parent, don't hesitate. Check out what's down in the description box, and that's going to serve you well, you guys. So let's get into today's topic. This is the Weekday Huddle, you guys. You know this is something that I love to do. Come in here and be with you guys. That's what this is all about. If there's any topics that you guys think of or anything that you see trending that you want to discuss, that you want to talk about, make sure that you put it in the comments section. And then as always, I love to hear the feedback from you guys as far as what you think of the topics and Coach Wood's take. Sometimes I'm wrong. I'm human. So let me know what you guys are thinking and hold me down. This, you guys, is a very important topic. Just recently heard a video on Instagram from the great Coach Mac Brown. Many of you guys know him. Some of you younger kids don't. You might remember him from his days at North Carolina recently, but long time University of Texas coach, Longhorn, won the national championship with Vince Young, star recruit, of course, that he was able to land. I've actually played against Texas-led Coach Mac Brown teams. Always tough teams, always super talented. You know they do not play, especially when they were when he was down in Texas. Prototype players all over the field, you guys. So I recently heard him talking on Instagram about the new makeup of college football. And he was talking specifically, you guys, and this is big for you high school and you junior college football players out there. He was talking about the roster and how a lot of teams, Texas, where Coach Sark is at, who he's close with, in particular, are managing the roster with this new climate of NIL. This is particularly important to our athletes because we are trying to get to the bag. We are trying to get to the roster spot, whether it's scholarship or PWO. We want our kids to have the opportunities that others don't. So this is important when we're hearing someone that's as connected as Coach Brown, and he knows a bunch of coaches, and he's able to find out the mindset of these coaches when it comes to creating their rosters. Because that's going to be particularly important to you young athletes out there that are trying to make one of these rosters. So what Coach Brown said, you guys, he said a lot of these teams are going to figure it out. He said, I've talked to Coach Sark at Texas. He said he's already he's in this mind mode. He's in this mindset where you have 105 athletes on the roster. Now, we know the NCAA goes back and forth on how many people they want to have on the roster, but we also know that now the roster size is important because at the highest level of football, they have to pay the student athletes, right? So he said 105 of these kids are allowed on your team, on your college football team. But how many really play? How many really play? He says, 44. Now, I think that's low. What he was thinking is the two deep. You've got 11 on offense. You got 11 on defense. You do 22 on both sides for the two deep, and you got 44. I think it's more in the 54 to 60 range. I think obviously you're going to have some injuries on the team. You're going to have some guys that aren't producing, and other guys will get a shot. So I think on a typical college football team in a typical season where you're not absolutely decimated by injuries or off the field issues, I think that a team is going to play between 44 to about 60, 59, 60 guys in any given season. And what Coach Brown was saying was what the teams are starting to do is we have to get rid of this money. We're going to give 20 million. We're going to give 30 million to our football program and the players on that team. If we're going to do that, why not spend all of the money, the lion's share of the money, on the kids who are going to play? You're competing with schools like Georgia. You're competing with the Alabamas of the world, the Floridas of the world, in the SEC where Texas is. You better have some dogs in your two deep. And now in college football, the best players are going to cost you some money. So what Coach Mack Brown was saying is Coach Sarkisian is looking at about 44 to 50 players, and that's where all the money is going. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that there's not much money going to the bottom half of the roster. So that is where they will be willing to add maybe some PWOs, some people that aren't going to require as much money. They may give you a little bit of the settlement money, but you're not going to get the lion's share like the first 44 to 60 guys on the team. The ones that they know for sure are going to be hitting the field. So this is important, you guys, because business models change. Business models change, and if you're in the business of football, you better know how the business model is working at the current time, So with that being said, and we're always looking for the angle for our athletes to get all theirs, because obviously the high school and junior college players have been put on the back burner at the FBS level, and especially at the Power 4 level. So, but there's a lot of guys still getting opportunity. So where is your opportunity? Where is the angle for you to get your foot in the door? Now, the beautiful thing is once you get your foot in the door, now, and you get on the field and you show them you can play at that level and you start making plays, now they got to pay you. So that's the beautiful thing about it. In my day, it was easier to get your foot in the door, but you could ball out and you weren't going to get paid. You're not going to get nothing until you get to the NFL, which for many people is never going to happen. But in college, harder to get your foot in the door, harder on the initial forefront for a high school kid, a JC kid. But once you do get your foot in the door, now they got to pay you. So it's just a different business model because they have to pay you. That's why they want to go with the older players, because since they have to pay you, that means there's even more pressure on the coach. Back in my day, there was pressure on the coaches, but the pressure on the coaches was just because they were paying the coaches. Now there's pressure on the coaches because they're paying the coaches and they're paying the players. So there's a lot of pressure on the coaches. And if there's pressure on the coach, I'd rather die on the sword of a guy who's been playing major college football than a guy who's fresh out of high school or junior college. For the most part, at least for my big bucks. So for the athletes, because we like working with the diamond in the rough. A lot of our athletes don't come out the gates with money, but they find a way. They find a way. We've had some athletes make some pretty good coinage, but they weren't all ballyhooed coming out of high school or junior college. They had to go earn it. So we work with the diamond in the rough. So this information is particularly important to us because our kids are most likely going to be looked at as bottom half roster kid. So that's the now that you know, you can win when you know. They say knowing's half the battle. What was that, G.I. Joe or something? Knowing's half the battle. If you're aware of the game, then you know how to win at the game. You know how to play the game the right way and win. When these kids may be going to the wrong camps, they may be doing unofficials at the wrong school because they don't know how the game works. Now, we're hearing Coach Mack say that a lot of these schools are going to spend money on the top half of their roster. That doesn't mean they want a bad bottom half of their roster. It just means they need to bargain shop. And that's where you come in as the high school or the junior college athlete. Two angles that the athletes have to understand coming out of high school or junior college today that are angles for you to get your foot in the door, or the academic angle where you have very high, you're a 4.0 student, you're a 3.8 student, you're a very high academic student where you can go to the schools like Villanova, the schools like Dartmouth, the schools like Georgetown, the schools like Rice, that aren't going to recruit heavy in the portal because of the academic requirements. That's an angle. That's an angle that you high school and JC athletes have to hit, especially you high school athletes. Now, the other angle, and this is kind of what Coach Mack is getting to, is these schools are going to spend so much money on the top half of their roster that they're going to be looking for the bargain on the back half. And if you're a high school kid that's got some talent and some size and you're willing to take maybe a PWO, they're going to jump on you. A lot of these schools are going to jump on guys. Right now, we're talking to school. This is February. We just passed the first week, depending on when you're watching this. We just passed the first week of the regular signing period. And schools still have roster spots. But guess what? They don't have as much money. Maybe they were trying to get a kid out the portal, but they didn't have any money for him. So now you can come in and say, hey, I've been already accepted to your school, or I'm willing to PWO at your school. I just need a shot. I just need my foot in the door. And if you have some talent, they're going to be very interested to hear from you. The door might not look the same as before, but who cares? The bottom line is find your way in the building. Once you get in the building, who knows what will happen? You guys just saw Sam Darnold. He was cast aside by 5 teams or 4 teams. Seattle's his 5th team, but he got in the building. So how are you going to get into the building at a university where maybe they're not giving you money right out the gates? Maybe they're not thinking that you're going to be in the first 2 deep, but you're in the building. And that's where the magic happens, baby. So I thought this was very important to hear a coach, especially someone that has so much leverage and so many relationships in the industry like Coach Mack Brown, say, hey, this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that especially these teams in the top conferences, they're going to throw all their money at the first 44 to 54 guys on the team. The first 44 to 54 guys on the team. But they still can have another 50, 58 guys on the team. So what does the money look like for those guys? Are those guys, or can they get guys that are willing to come take those spots for little or no money? And that can be you. That can be your way to get your foot in the door. Now, obviously, not everybody's going to play at Texas, but maybe you could play at San Diego State. Maybe you could play at Sac State. Maybe you could play at FAU. Maybe you could play at Miami of Ohio and let them know, hey, coach, I know you guys got to focus on these older guys, but I want to come compete, and I'll pay for my own semester or 2 to come do it. And then you get your foot in the door and you show them what you got. Now they got to pay you. So keep that in mind, you guys. A lot of you guys are sitting, waiting for the scholarship. It may not be a scholarship. You got to be ready to take that PWO. Or you got to be ready to go to a prep school or a junior college and get your way in that way. Or go to a smaller school at D2, at D3, ball out, become all conference your freshman, sophomore year, and get your foot in the door that way. If you want to come in with some money. That's another option. There's more options today than ever before to get to that top level. Back in my day, if you didn't get there right out of high school, you were done. You were done for the most part. Today, they are constantly evaluating all of the other divisions, junior college and high school. They're evaluating them all. But how are you going to get your foot in the door? Coach Max said, hey, they're going to keep PWOs, but who's willing to take the job? So hopefully you guys can learn from these huddles. That's what this is all about. I want you guys to be aware of what's going on in the industry, but we also want you to be able to grasp these nuggets of advice, this information, and make it practical, make it whole for you so that you can have the angle that maybe some of your teammates don't have or some of the people that don't have because you're coming in the huddle week in, week out. All right. And we're strategizing and we're game planning and we're learning. Okay. So keep in mind, the model's different. They want old. They want old first at the highest level of college football. But once the money runs out, they still got roster spots they need to fill. All right. So you guys find your way. And if you need help, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at Before You Go Pro. We work with athletes across the country. We strategize daily with families. And this is a labor of love for me. This is the ministry. Okay. So check out what we have down in the description box. Make sure that you subscribe. Bring a friend. Bring a parent to the huddle tomorrow. And we're going to have another amazing topic for you. All right. I'm Coach Wood. We'll see you at the top.